Indiana Jones, Indiana It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, everybody. This, as you know, is the show where we discuss the film Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, 3 minutes at a time. My name is Tom Taylor.
My name is Pete, not even a quarter of a hunk mummer.
Gerald Christopher, there's a parade going on. Porter.
And we are joined by our old dear friend. He's been with us for every one of these movies. He is back in all his glory, Paul Sullivan.
Hey, but please, I'm begging you to call me Sully.
Sully!
By the way, you know why I go by Paul Francis Sullivan instead of just Paul Sullivan? Is because when I started doing my baseball podcast, I started getting weird responses, like saying, "Oh, you said this about the White Sox today, but in your column you said something totally different. You're trying to have it both ways." And I found out one of the biggest sports writers for the Chicago Tribune, one of the biggest baseball writers for the Chicago Tribune, is named Paul Sullivan.
Oh man!
And so it never. When I started in the late 2000s when both the White Sox and Cubs were good. And so I said a lot about the White Sox and Cubs, and apparently Paul Sullivan didn't agree with me. So to avoid confusion, I threw the Francis in there, but I urge people to just call me Sully because Paul Francis Sullivan sounds like I was in the co-starring role in St. Elmo's Fire or something like that. So I just decided
Do you ever regret doing that at this point? Like you could have milked that for a lot more publicity.
No, I don't want confusion in my life. I have enough confusion in my life. I want my own.
That's fair.
I don't want to, I don't want to. I'm not feeling any Michael Keaton regret at this point about changing my name, or Martin Sheen has said he's regretted not going by Ramon Estevez.
Oh, okay.
But no, that's my name.
His son shames him every day.
It's my goddamn name. So there you go. But I'm the host. I'm the host of the Locked On MLB podcast, and I hosted the Bull Durham Minute and the Old Sled Baseball Daily, and I am a five-timer. I've now been on 5 times for the Indiana Jones Minute for all 5 movies.
Off the top of my head, you were with us for Doug Henning in Cairo.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, you were with us for... God, where were you in Temple of Doom? I'm already failing.
I was the end of the dinner scene.
Yes.
With Charter Lal, but then I came back to do one about the when they actually first entered the Temple of Doom.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I called it the Lincoln Suite.
In your column, in the Tribune, I feel like you called it the Washington Suite.
Yeah, come on,
No,
Sully.
I called it the Lincoln Suite because it was the Lincoln balcony. Because I told the joke that was so funny in Our American Cousin, that was so that just absolutely brought down the house, and Booth knew that there was going to be a huge laugh, and that would give him the cover to shoot it.
Now watch this callback. Who wrote Our American Cousin?
That's right. The author of Our American Cousin was
Tom Taylor.
Yeah. And it was actually the same one. And the line that brought down the house. It was like everyone knew it was the Cameron Diaz hair gel of its day, which was, "Don't know the manner of good society, huh? Well, I guess I know enough to turn you inside out, old gal. You sock dollar-gazing old man trap."
Classic.
Literally killed. That line literally killed.
Too soon.
Yeah, too soon.
Yeah, and like Last Crusade was like, God. I'm back. Why did I even start down this road?
Last Crusade,
unprepared.
I was in his office, and then he climbs out the window.
Oh yeah.
And in the Crystal Skull, I had another classroom scene. This time we
Oh,
found
yeah.
out that
Oh.
Jim Broadbent resigned, and I was really heartbroken, even though I didn't know who his character was. And then we went back to the house, and we determined that Indy was crashing in
Yeah.
the guest room of his home because that house was way too huge
I
for.
love that.
Yeah, and then that's actually one of the best scenes in Crystal Skull.
It is a
Quite
good
frankly,
one.
it's one of the few scenes where there was any legit emotion, and you had two actors, Harrison Ford and Jim Broadbent, acting in a scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
Imagine that.
it was actually I was actually very happy to get that scene because I don't like Crystal Skull, and I said
Right.
it on the
There.
show
Hot
very
take.
subtly when I said it was. And then here I am for my 3 minutes of the Dial of Destiny.
Which we should point out, you and our friend Pete Mummert saw together opening weekend.
Yeah,
Yep,
with,
we did a special
the
guest
Sully
along
Spawn.
with my two boys went
Yeah.
to go see it with us, and
We got
my
some of your
boys,
first
Aiden and Matt.
reactions on our first reactions episode back then.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I saw it a second time a week ago when I found out I was doing this episode.
All right. Nice. Well, let's get into these minutes.
Yeah.
This is minutes 43 through 45 of Dial of Destiny, and they begin with Indy in the back of
43 through 46.
Really?
No, through 45.
No, through 45.
43, 44,
Don't
45.
do this to me, Peter. Wait a minute.
You do your numbers weird. Okay. Yeah,
I do my
no,
numbers. I'm going to look at my little chart.
He does them in order.
Yeah, we did.
That's how he does
we
them.
ended on 42. Now we're starting with 43.
No, I mean you do them like you called minute 0 to 1 minute 1. I called it minute 0.
Well, that's how the computer does it, man. And Schoolhouse Rock, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 3, 6. Okay. All right.
3 is the magic number.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Sorry.
Okay, Indy is in the back of a fake Con Ed van explaining to Agent Mason that the dial is just half a hunk of ancient gears. Everyone then has to vacate the van because, of course, parades ruin everything, and the agents are forced to cart Indy through an anti-war demonstration. Indy uses this opportunity to express his right to free speech and his right to free himself as he gets away from his captors. He finds a New York cop who is there when Indy needs him, but he is utterly useless. So Indy steals the cop's horse, and he is chased by Kleber on a stolen cop's motorcycle. Kleber chases Indy through the parade as Hauke joins the chase in a commandeered convertible, terrifying the beauty queen in the passenger seat. And the chase continues past a carload of astronauts, and the minutes end with Indy cornered by Hauke in the convertible and Kleber on the bike. Action-packed minutes.
Why is Indy at the beginning sobbing his lines? Is this a function of his age and like just a general level of excitement?
Just doesn't know where he is.
Like
No,
he
he's-
seems really upset.
He's
Yeah.
He's exasperated. These people have sandbagged him and shoved him in a van, and they're interrogating him over what he thinks is a stupid piece of junk. And,
looks like he's crying.
People just died. People just remember.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
just got killed.
Yeah.
You know, he's not as cavalier as he used to be in the
It's a new
Cairo.
Indy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. So we often talk about what a great actor Harrison Ford is, obviously. But is Indiana Jones a great actor?
I don't know if he's acting right now.
Well,
think
that's
he
what
is
I'm saying.
either.
Like he is. He's lying. He does this in a lot of the shows. It's a worthless bronze medallion, Marion. Do you have it?
No, but he actually thinks this is worthless. He doesn't believe in whatever magical out of superstitious.
No.
hocus
I
pocus
don't
is
know
part
if
of it.
that's true. I mean, first of all, he saved it. He did keep it.
Well, the school kept it.
Well, no, it's in his desk. Like he knows where it is.
No, it's in like
it's
some
in his
cupboard
personal.
in the. It's been a few months since we recorded those minutes.
It's in
Jerry, but
it's in that
a-
locked security wing of the
For some
library.
reason, I assumed that was his locker in the library.
He at least knows where it is. Which
Yeah,
is,
he does know
Yeah,
what it is.
I don't know why, but I assumed that all
might
the
be-
things that he
yeah.
took out were his.
No, I thought they were part of the universities, but what you know.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Although
you
I
don't-
mean,
they're not
he
on
must have
display.
he probably brought them to the university. Because he had that other one from their adventures back in the 40s, didn't he? I've lost track already.
They
I don't
pull
know.
out a bunch of stuff. He knows where it is. They pull out a bunch of stuff.
Anywho,
You know what?
but
Anyway.
but he just went through a whole thing about like how, yeah, Baz thought all this stuff about it, but who knows? I don't
Yeah.
know. And you know,
Are we doing this again? Because I remember I listened to every single episode of every of your podcast, both
Aw.
this and Anything Goes. And I think that 94% of the episodes of Crystal Skull was you, Jerry, and Pete basically going like, wait a minute.
yeah.
Did he pick that up here or did he put it in his pocket? I don't know, but why is he doing that?
It is frustrating, and I don't
And,
know why that is in like the later movies, like outside of the original three, and even a little bit in Last Crusade. It got like that, where it just got kind of, you had to scratch your head a little bit and work really hard to connect the dots.
Not really. It was just 3, 7, 10, right?
Oh my God, you're right. I see it now.
And I do,
Okay,
you know,
I'm
I
sorry.
kind of laugh because I know in the Raiders, they do the exact same thing with the head scratching, and we scratched our heads, except it's with a person, Marion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they do the thing. They must have switched the trucks.
Yeah.
Or what are they must have switched the baskets. You
Yeah.
know, like,
Or how did he hang onto that submarine? That's the biggest.
But that's like movie stuff. That's like
That-
that's like
yeah,
you know
yeah,
like
yeah.
you know kind of leaps of logic stuff. But this is like already in this movie we're like, now wait, so one of these
Needless
people in
layers
the
of
van
complexity.
is a CIA agent, but this other guy isn't. But he's working with the guy who the CIA's protecting or working with, and since he wants the dial, they want the dial, and it's a little it's you kind of want to not do this minutes at a time and just watch the movie and not worry about this stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Peter
Here we
agrees
are.
wholeheartedly.
Here we are. That's really great.
Okay, I'll say something positive, and I really like. And this movie's filled with stuff like this. I like they're in the van. They can't get through because there's a parade there. They should have thought of that ahead of time. They start to back up, and they can't because there's a cab there.
Yeah.
And so as they all get out, they're leaving. The cabbie's yelling at them, "Didn't you see me here?"
My
And
favorite character in the movie.
he's good. He's great.
Yeah,
He's
he's
our cab
great.
driver. And as they're leaving, Mason looks over her shoulder at the cabbie, and we're sort of pulling away from the cabbie and the agent who's there talking to him. And you kind of get that the cabbie's not going to be with us much longer, and she's worried about that. And I just like that little moment, like
Yeah.
that you know. Although now that I'm saying it, isn't that never mind? Isn't that Con Ed guy an actual agent? Isn't he a CIA agent?
I have no idea.
I
But he
have no
looks like
idea
Hitler.
either.
Like, do they make him look like Hitler in purpose when
Oh.
he gets out of the van?
Maybe.
Well, I kind of.
I want to see this. Oh, sorry, Gary.
Well, I was just thinking, is that? I mean, why does the guy not check his side mirrors? I guess he can't check his rear view mirrors.
Right.
But you would think. So I guess that guy is probably not part of the Con Ed union, like the local
Definitely not.
468. Yeah, I mean, he'd be a better driver. I guess that's one of those things. The guy's like, "Oh, I'm a bad man agent." And you just think, well, bad men don't usually check their mirrors.
All the goofuses of the world.
Yeah, because rather than check the mirror, it's a lot easier to send a henchman prime C out to just dispose of the
Yeah.
whatever you hit.
But now I am really confused, actually. Like, which of these guys are CIA agents, and which I thought that just like I thought Kleber and Hauke were the Nazis, and everybody
Yeah.
else were actual agents.
I feel
But-
like they're all turning into Nazis at this point.
I guess so.
So
Before our
the
very eyes.
Yeah.
Mason, who they wind up, spoiler alert, they wind up killing her later on the aeroplane. And then Kleber and Hauke. Hauke is the faux Pat Roach, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna
Cle-
I'm gonna say there's another Pat Roach in this scene, but we'll get there.
Oh.
yeah, I'm just trying to figure. There's a little bit of and Jerry, please hide your ears. There's a little bit of Mac going on in this where they double cross and double flip so many times that I start to, you want to ask, oh, what's going to happen next, and not ask, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Those are two very different questions to ask.
Yeah.
But let's stay positive.
Okay.
This is, by the way, this is like there's a little bit of from another very good Harrison Ford film, kind of a reminder of The Fugitive,
Oh, sure.
when he evades Tommy Lee Jones by walking into the St. Patrick's Day uh, parade in Chicago.
Yeah.
That was unlike this was that was shot during a real parade in Chicago, and it feels visceral and real and
Real,
feels like
yeah.
the city.
Doesn't have
And
generic protest signs.
and this feels like it feels like a cutscene. As most of these are. A question when I do like the moment when he takes the peace sign from the dude and smacks him in the head.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of a nice bit of humor there. But then when Flat Top McMustache is about to point a gun at Indy, and the uh, what the hell is her name?
Mason.
Mason pulls a Darth Vader in the carbon freezing chamber, grabbing Boba Fett's gun.
Or the guy stopping the guy from shooting the droids out of the sky in Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah, which I do
Well, so-
love the Family Guy joke of what are we saving lasers now? But why does she prevent him from shooting him again?
He has already killed two people for no real reason,
Yeah.
and now he's about to shoot into a crowd of innocent people and shoot a guy who they just wanted to question. And she's already labeled him as a trigger-happy cracker, and she would like him to change his ways.
And I think she's
what if
still
he-
technically a law enforcement agent, like hopefully
Yeah.
believing in some form of due process.
But what if he
Right.
wings him? I mean, what if he just shoots him in the knee? Just sort of like we were trying to get this guy and he's running away.
Yeah, but I think that she knows that that's not his aim. He would like to just blow his head
Well,
off.
so if he kills Indy, then what does he
clean
do?
off?
If that guy had killed Indy in the middle of a parade,
Yeah.
then what does he do? He drags Indy's body over to the Mount Doom? I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just. What would he put him in the Con Ed truck?
That wouldn't really serve his purposes.
That's all
is
I'm
what you're
wondering.
saying,
Is this?
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe he
So-
is trying to wing him.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe he's trying to wing him, or maybe it's kind of one of those things where it's. I mean, what they're telegraphing is this guy is a loose cannon and a very bad man.
Yeah,
But we
This
already
guy-
know that because they didn't check their mirrors.
that's right.
And the guy, he's the cab driver's driving a yellow cab. He says, "What? You didn't see me? It's yellow."
Yeah, that's a great
Which makes
line.
me think now, if he had had a blue cab, he would have been fine with it if someone
Yeah.
had backed into him.
Especially a blue van. It would have the paint would have matched.
Yeah,
Scratches
you'd be
wouldn't
like,
have
"Well,
been so
I
bad.
understand. This is kind of camouflaged."
Yeah.
But I think Klaber, the McMustache guy, is this movie's scrum chum.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you notice, Indy's standing there talking to the horse cop, and Klaber turns around and knocks out the policeman with the motorcycle before Indy does anything.
Yeah, that's
Klaber
right.
just
Yeah.
turns around and he just wants to fight. So he just he knocks out the policeman and jumps on the motorcycle, and then Indy jumps on the horse.
Yeah.
And there was
Yeah.
no reason for him to jump on the motorcycle because Indy was
Yeah.
like 20 feet
He's
away.
gonna chase
Like,
him 10
Yeah,
feet.
he's like
Where
he's our
standing.
scrum chum or a chopper
Yeah,
companion.
that's-
Yeah, he
he's
just
a-
wants to
yeah,
punch
scra-
cops and shoot people in crowds.
Scrap chap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bike bud.
Like, but
He did. You know, he the very first thing he does is shoot up at the sky.
yeah,
And you're like,
and
whoa.
and
That's gonna hurt. That's gonna come down somewhere
Yeah.
in a giant
But
crowd of
also-
people.
yeah. It's
he
true.
shoots at the sky, and the protesters like all take a knee except for Indy.
Yeah.
But then like a block later, a cop is just sitting there having a corn dog.
Yeah, yeah. That's
And
very
like,
strange.
did you not notice that there was a gunshot? A lot of people, went to one knee.
I'm this side of
Yeah.
the street. Jimmy's the other side of the street. That's Jimmy. Jimmy's
Well,
the
the whole
one
thing
who,
has a
monitoring.
feeling of unreality. Like all of these signs are just completely generic, weird signs, and the whole thing has a strange feeling to it. But I don't quite understand why Indy starts chanting "Hell no, we won't go," and then just completely kind of yucking it up. Like he starts laughing, and why is he taking such glee in this? Is it because he's such a not?
I think because he
a
is so not a
countercultural guy?
hippie.
Yeah,
I think he's so not a hippie. I mean, we saw that he gets angry when they're playing Magical Mystery Tour in an earlier part, and that he
Yeah.
just is. He he seems
It's like
completely,
Carnival. He's like taking on the other role.
yeah.
I actually,
I don't think this is happening, but I like to think that there's something cathartic for him in being in an anti-war protest and getting into it, considering what we learned about Mutt later on. That there's something like, yeah, God damn it, tell them, you hippies. I'm not one of you,
interesting. I didn't know about
but
that.
yes,
Yeah.
you've got the right message. This is exciting to me, even though I'm being, kidnapped right now.
I actually think that he's having a good time. He's saying, I'm going to chant, hell no, we won't go. And I'm going to blend in, even though he is walking the other way. But what he's saying is he's not going to be, he's not going to be kidnapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Many
think
layers.
that's why he's thinking it's funny that of all the chants, they're they're singing so he can join in and it makes perfect sense. And then he does it.
Yeah. I like it.
I'm with Pete that this whole parade / demonstration scene has a very dreamlike quality to it, especially with he approaches the cop who's something like 50 feet away. A guy just shot up in the sky, and there's, he just whacked this guy, and there's an enormous moose of a man in the middle, throwing haymakers.
Yeah.
And the cop it seems like a cop right out of a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well,
I found
and-
a cop and he just stared at me and I was like, oh no, I'm never going to be safe again. Oh no.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's not just
then
that.
paper clips are coming out of my mouth. It was awful.
Well, it's not just that. There's like everybody in this protest is wearing kind of muted colors. And right before he gets to the cop, there's like a Technicolor faux Hunter S. Thompson guy that walks right across the path, which is weird. He's just randomly walking through the parade.
Weird.
Yeah, it's like no one can see anything a block away too. Like
Yeah, it's not even
Right.
around a corner or anything. It's just right down.
what-
the
Yeah,
So-
there,
block
yeah,
away.
there is. He's just there. That seems like it's a cameo by somebody. We find out
maybe.
later
Well,
that he.
Why does the cop not take Indy seriously?
To be fair, Indy's not making any sense. He's like just kind of blathering and he looks like a crazy old man.
And
But
he's in front of expert tailors, by the way.
ooh, that's me.
Yeah, that's
You
the
seem like-
sign right behind him.
Jerry, I
Expert
feel like
tailors.
you could pull off a tropical suit.
What, you think I could pull off a tropical suit?
Yeah.
I have a tropical suit.
Oh.
I'm not
Yeah, and
off.
it big usually gets pulled off me.
Boo.
Hey, dun, 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 dun,
Oh, wait, did I get Pete? It only happens like 3 times a season.
You
where I
act like you
actually
never
Pete-
make Pete laugh.
I never
I
make
know, it's
Pete
like
laugh.
a very
He's
funny
like-
person.
Oh, listen,
Yeah.
Pete is like the goal. He's like the the fruit at the finial of the tree.
Okay.
I do have a question, Sully.
Yes.
Explain to me. They say, that it's sort of at the beginning of this little segment, the cop says like, "Hey, back up" or whatever. He's like, he says something like, "I have a demonstration here." So I'm trying to think. We have a parade for, I guess, the Apollo moon landing,
Yes.
right? And then after that, like directly
Like on the same
after that-
route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
They
have
double booked. They double booked it. is
Yeah.
what they did.
They double book.
um,
Okay, we have a anti-Vietnam.
It's the classic
demonstration.
anti-Vietnam moon landing parade. You
Yeah.
see that so often.
So it has. I'm kind of thinking about this seriously.
I start now.
Is
Really,
that?
big mistake?
Yeah, I know. Is that plausible? And did we do that? I do know that now.
Land on the moon?
Well, yeah.
Oh,
certainly.
Jerry, grow up.
I
You can
do
see
know that.
why isn't the thing waving? Why is it waving and there's no wind on the moon, Jerry? Come on.
Oh my gosh! And you can't see the stars.
Yeah.
No, I'm wondering, is it? I guess today we do have like protests and counter protests, or where there is one
Sure.
thing, there's another thing across the street, whatever. But I don't know if I recall a parade followed by a demonstration.
Well,
Also, a
especially
demonstration
you've got-
that has nothing to do with what the parade is about.
Yeah, yeah.
and the parade being the biggest parade I think in New York City history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been lined wall to wall with police.
Yeah.
because of these 3 guys that are here.
Yeah, it seems I think there's a little kind of sloppiness here because
Yeah.
I think they wanted to have the moon landing, so it sort of grounds it in a very specific moment in time. But they also wanted to be able to have, the protests of the 60s. It's kind of similar to when they were doing the motorcycle chase in Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
That there were people holding up the signs about, I think it was about McCarthy or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there
Or the
there
Reds.
was,
Maybe they're anti.
there were some protesters there.
They didn't like Cincinnati.
In what? Cincinnati?
Tom said they were anti-Reds.
And I didn't get that joke.
I know.
Yeah, but but that made more sense because Indy was at his college, and that was in Northern California. So there was a lot of sort of protest stuff like that in Northern California
Sully, I don't know what
at
you mean.
Marshall College. But in this one, by the way, I kind of find it strange that like Marshall College is a fake college. It's not there is a Marshall College in Marshall University in West Virginia, but that's not where Indy was
No,
teaching.
West
He was
Virginia is fake.
yeah. And he was teaching in the college in just outside of San Francisco in Raiders and those films.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But here he's in Hunter, which is a real college in New York City. And I kind of like that was kind of strange putting him in a urban college for me. That kind of caught me off guard. But yeah, I think this was a little bit of wanting to ground the scene in a specific moment, but also get that, the 60s hippie vibe in there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Could
I
it have
think that
just
neither one
been
of
the
them felt real.
protest? Could they have just had the protest and not the parade?
But
I
they
think
kind of have
it
to
should have
tie
had
in
one or the other.
But I feel
Yeah.
like they're also trying to tie in the whole premise of the movie is based on the Operation Paperclip NASA
Yeah,
CIA
that's true.
Nazi thing. So
They
I feel
don't
like
have
it's-
they don't have the protesters.
yeah.
Yeah. But then what's
Or
Indy
have
going
them
to
go
hit somebody
through
with a trombone? A bagpipe?
As a kid who played the cornet in middle school, I enjoy that not one of these guys is playing the bugle. Like they all have the bugle near their mouth, but not one of them is actually
it's funny.
playing.
Wow.
Wait, I just looked up. Do you know Hunter College has a graduation rate of 57%? Do you think that's because of Indy's classes? Like
Possibly.
Are you thinking of
Well, it's 'cause-
applying? What's going on there?
Yeah.
it just, it makes me think of
never
like,
too late.
he's, sort of that class, he's asking all the people in the classroom and,
Yeah.
they're kind of like, they're playing
I'm
like
done. I'm out of here.
paper football.
This guy with his apple.
Hey, Sully, I have a much more important question for you. And
Fire away.
I think you're going to be on my side. You're going to know what I'm talking about, and you'll back me up.
When have I ever gone against you?
Yeah, and it's not like I'm leading you or anything. But
Okay.
so Hauke, big hulking guy, he rips a driver out of a convertible. The woman in the car who is in the parade is screaming and freaking out.
Yeah.
He gets in and drives off with her. Is that obviously absolutely an Animal House reference? That exact moment is an Animal House.
Yeah, and remember, Spielberg has a fascination with Animal House and Belushi and that whole crew.
Mm-hmm. And
You know,
for a while,
especially when
John
you-
Landis.
And that Karen Allen is from Animal House.
Yeah.
Belushi and Tim Matheson and several other cast members were in 1941. Tim Matheson auditioned for Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in the Blues Brothers as the Cook County assessor.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think that is a wink to Animal House right there.
It just screamed out at me.
And I know Spielberg didn't direct this film, but you will note that Mustache McShooty also kind of resembles D-Day.
A little bit.
He does.
Bruce McGill was later in Lincoln, so I mean
really? I
Animal
didn't know
House
that.
actors keep popping up in Spielberg films, but and he gets on a motorcycle. Shooty McMustache gets on, so he's like D-Day was always on his motorcycle. And he
That's
gets
true.
on
Yeah.
a motorcycle.
That's,
Yeah.
you know what's,
And then at
you
the
know
end of this movie, you see that, Senator Hauke and his wife, drove off into the sunset. So it's a direct tie.
And in the end credits, it says "Ask for Babs."
That's right.
Well, so are the sailors in this scene, are they part of the Apollo moon landing crew parade, or are they part of the demonstration Hell No We Won't Go?
No, they're part of the parade. They're part of the marching band for the.
They're not.
for
They're
the
not singing
astronauts.
the songs and doing the bugle thing of Hell No We Won't Go. I mean, what year is it? 69. I mean, isn't that? This might be around the
Yeah,
turning
I think it's
point
around 1969 that
Yeah.
this is taking place, seeing that the moon landing just took place. But
Yeah, but also, I don't know. They did have some. You had some people who were coming back from the war. They weren't.
this
They
was the
weren't.
Apollo
The
landing.
tide has turned. It's Apollo. Okay, yes, sir.
there's some clues that it's the Apollo landing
Okay,
in the film.
all right, fair.
Like the
If you
thing
look
that says
close, you
"Welcome
can-
Apollo astronauts," and then he drives past Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins.
There's another weird dreamlike moment when Hauke yanks the driver out of the car.
Yeah.
Car keeps
The
moving.
car keeps moving exactly like it's on a rail, like it's like it's
Yeah.
a ride at a fairground.
that's fun.
It doesn't stop at all. Like it doesn't slow
Yeah.
down. It doesn't stop.
Oh
and
my
it gets in and it
gosh.
just keeps going the exact same.
That's
tempo.
really weird.
I thought that's what you were going to ask me, Tom. It was like, why does the car move like it's one
Who
of the
cares
cars
about
from
physics?
Jurassic
I wanted
Park?
to talk about Animal House.
Well, and you know what? You know that we talked about this. Last episode. The one of the biggest cars in the parade is blue, right? Like and then the this dope ass Cadillac is the corduroy pants color, and the corduroy jacket color, and the whole thing. Like I mean, look, I know that, I wouldn't bring this up except that it's glaring.
Well, yeah, the late 60s and the early 70s kind of blended into this sort of, the colors and the fashion seem to smash together a little bit there. It's not really until you start to see the mid 70s where some of the stuff starts to look more like should be in the disco era. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a fashion plate. I want to end that rumor right now.
Oh, come on. Don't sell yourself short. Look at you.
It does. I will say this is maybe this is because I lived in New York for 15 years. But when they're in that, they're in that street with the Con Edison truck and the cab behind him. That's so narrow. It looks like an alleyway.
Yeah.
And there's no street in New York that's above, Houston Street. And there wouldn't be a street that narrow in the grid part, but he's basically just run from Hunter.
Yeah.
So he would have to have gone about 84 blocks south and cutting towards Broadway. And I mean, that sounds like nitpicking, but it also
Does it?
It took me out of where we were. I'm sure people in Venice would go like, "Oh, when they're going down that street in Venice, and turn it's a totally wrong place."
Yeah.
But at least they shot that in goddamn Venice.
Hopefully the bagpipers brought you right back to New York City, though.
Yeah, pretty well. There's always bagpipe stuff whenever there's like police funerals and things like that. That's for some reason they love to bust out the bagpipes then.
So that's a thing. Like we were trying to figure that out last episode.
Yeah.
That's not just a nod to this being in Scotland. Like that's a real.
I will say that when I lived in New York, one thing that was absolutely true is I hated parades. Anytime there was a parade, there should be one parade, which is Thanksgiving. Okay, but most of the time, like I'm trying to cut across town, and like going, oh, well, there's a parade for what? Oh, just, it's Columbus Day, it's St. Patrick's Day, it's the Puerto Rican Day parade, it's the Rangers won the Stanley Cup or whatever. just go to City Hall, have a rally. You don't need to shut the whole city down for this. And so but that narrow street just this whole New York seemed like it was generated in AI. It's like
What's
create
too
AI
bad, though?
New York.
Like, we know it's Scotland, and I think they did an okay job with, like, doubling it for New York. But even if they did film in New York, they'd be adding so much CGI stuff to the parade and the confetti and the thing and everything. It would still probably be this kind of dreamlikey kind of fakey thing.
Don't know. Because when they filmed Zodiac here,
Okay.
they filmed it here. Like they filmed it on Castro Street, and they made Castro Street look like it was 1971. Like it was
Yeah.
amazing. Like I think they could have done that.
But there's so much folderol with like the parade and everything.
Yeah.
I feel like,
Well-
and they're not gonna ride a horse through a crowd with Harrison Ford on it. Like just practically, they're not gonna do that. So like, there's
But
gonna
that's
be
a
a lot of
problem,
CGI stuff.
But that's a problem.
It is.
Then don't write the scene like that if you're not going to do it. That's one of the things that I'm sorry to jump in like this, but that's
No,
one
no,
of my
no.
problems.
It's very
I have
rude, but
with
we'll
it.
allow it because you're the guest.
Like one of the things that made, and I am going to be that guy, and I'm going to talk about some of my overall thoughts towards the end of this. But one of the things that made the first three films have a visceral, fun quality was the sense that, oh, that really is a boulder chasing him.
Yeah.
That's really a horse going alongside the truck, and Dickie Beer or whoever the stunt person is actually doing that.
Yeah.
You see they're running across a rope bridge. When they're going across it, you see that's a rope bridge. There's a sense of it's more thrilling when there's a visceral quality of they're doing that to
Oh,
a
totally.
degree.
Yeah.
And when you're watching something that looks like a video game cutscene, it just, and I had this problem with Crystal Skull. I had this problem with this, and I don't think I'm not blaming effects and CGI because, I mean, the visual effects. Like I'm going to throw. There's a movie that came the two Dune movies that came out recently. The effects in that, there's a lot of CGI in that film,
Sure.
but the effects are so good in that movie.
You don't mind that
And
they
they're
didn't use
shot-
a real sandworm. That's fine that they faked it.
But it looked like the scene, especially in the second one where they have like the little like snorkels in the sand,
Yeah.
and then they jump out and they rip apart the Harkonnen harvester. That's and then they eventually the sandworms, and they blow up the Harkonnens blow up that mountain that they were storing all their weapons in. It looked amazing.
It looks
looked
real.
Real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whatever you thought of the film or not, I like the wackiness of the David Lynch
Oh, my
film.
God.
But these new ones were well made. You could still make good effects. And by the way, there was a film that did take place in 1960s New York that I saw last year, where they recreated Greenwich Village and Chelsea Hotel and Cafe Wa and all those places. That was directed by a guy named James Mangold, called A Great Unknown, A Complete
yeah.
Unknown.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking of like, yeah, why couldn't you make the streets look like this? Now, granted, it's a little easier to have Bob Dylan walking down the street with a guitar
Yeah.
than Indiana Jones riding a horse down it. But I came here for those death-defying experiences. I didn't come here to, watch Pitfall Harry.
You know what's really awful that I'm still grappling with, even though this happened a couple of weeks ago? I showed my son The French Connection, knowing that he might not be into it. It might be too slow. It might be kind of weird. It might be kind of... And I mentioned to him, you might like it. It's got one of the most famous car chases ever in it. And like a day after we watched the movie, he was like, wait, what was the car chase in that movie? What was the big, amazing car chase? I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch. He's like under the train tracks and he almost kills the people. He shot that. They stole that shot. They like just drove down the street without permission and stuff. It was like a real thing. And I realized, and this is not a new thing, but I think those days, not only are those days of making movies like that over, long gone, but people aren't going to. They're not going to be impressed. They're not going to care that it actually happened. They're not going to care that those two cars actually collided with each other on a set while people were filming it, as opposed to this amazing thing where it does 3 backflips and gives you the middle finger. That was CGI, but it looks so awesome.
A dinosaur came out of the explosion.
Right. Slapped your mom right across the face.
We talk about that all the time when it comes to music. If you have people recording in a room live, there's this synergy. There's this orb of energy that is sort of indescribable. And sometimes, if you're lucky, every once in a while, you capture it. They call like lightning in a bottle. And, nowadays everybody's recording music and all they do is email their tracks. You record everything to a click track and then you email it to the bass player and then he gives you 2 or 3 versions and he emails it back to you. And then you email that to, some dude who puts like congas over the top and he emails it back to you. And you're like, Yeah, I mean, you can get a lot done. You can do all these different things, and no one needs to leave their house.
Yeah.
But you do lose that what you're describing, Tom. There's two cars actually crashed in real life on set. There's a certain tension
Mm-hmm.
that you feel.
Yeah.
Well, then, but this
It's
But
present.
this comes to one of my problems philosophically that I'm having with this film, and why I think maybe this film may have been kind of doomed from the start, which is it's it's a bit of a feathered fish. Hollywood has no interest in making, oh, they really did that anymore, but they
Uh-huh.
keep but they're making films that are aimed essentially at our nostalgia
Yeah.
for watching films where they actually did that. So who is this
Mm-hmm.
being made for? And I think the
Yeah.
obsession with keep bringing up old film, not just old styles of films, but let's dust off those actors and give them some Geritol and say go out there. And we have to see yet another hero of my youth be a grumpy old man. For Christ's sakes, Daniel LaRusso from the Karate Kid is now a
Yeah.
grumpy old man. Like they can't like Luke Skywalker's a grumpy old man. Rocky Balboa's a grumpy old man. Indiana Jones,
Mm-hmm.
freaking
Rick Deckard.
Flynn from Tron's a grumpy old man. Deckard's a grumpy old man.
Yeah.
It's like at some point, can't we just have Michael Keaton's Batman is a grumpy old man
Mm-hmm.
in that Flash film, which I won't see even if I'm strapped down like Malcolm McDowell in A Clockwork Orange. I still will find a way to not look at that
I hear
movie.
it's really good.
But so it's being aimed at us who want but
Mm-hmm.
they want to get the crowd that's raised on you know Avengers and Matrix and everything like that. Not that I have nothing against those movies, but it's like you know what you got to do. You got to create heroes for these should be made for young people.
Mm-hmm.
And so having a bunch of old people and doing a type of story that appeals to us, Indiana Jones means nothing to a lot of people
Right.
who are under the age of 40.
Right.
They didn't
Yeah.
grow up with Raiders, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade. So who the hell was this movie made for?
Yeah, I mean, you could say that about like Star Wars and stuff like that, but Star Wars was a huge, huge thing that lasted for decades, even when it was like in limbo and stuff. Whereas
And
Indiana
and
Jones, like yeah, they bring it back every 10 years or something, but yeah, there's a point where it's like they just want me to show up on opening weekend, and because
yeah.
they know I will, and I'll bring my friends, and it'll be great. We'll have a lot of fun. We're excited to see it and everything, but yeah, it's like why just because you own this property? I guess that's why you made the movie.
Well, that's why I said I would have been more excited to see a Forrestal movie that takes place in the 1930s
Hmm.
than I
Mm.
would to see Indiana Jones being grumpy that someone's playing Magical Mystery Tour.
But you
Well,
know
do you
what? If they made
okay?
that
Yeah.
Forrestal game, if they made that Forrestal show, they probably wouldn't go to the desert to make it, and they wouldn't go to like any
Yeah.
ruins or anything, and so
But you
you'd
could
still have
still
the
have a
same
fun,
problems.
but you can then have a fun movie because the remember the Raiders of the Lost Ark was made as a response to old time serial films.
Hmm.
And so it was like it was like a the old time serial films told to what the audiences of the 80s would want to see.
Hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
now it's almost like we're going to make a Raiders film, but told from the point of view of what,
Well,
you know, the
Sully, let
kids
me
today would want to see.
let me ask you this, Sully. Do you think this scene with the way it's filmed and the, parade in New York and the horse and what they're doing, do you think that this is them trying to update Indiana Jones and make him attractive to a younger crowd and it's not landing, or do you think that they're being lazy
I think they're
by
being
not
lazy.
they're just being lazy? Okay,
I
you,
think they're
you
being
don't think they're
lazy.
trying to update it or trying to you put in it's just being lazy. Okay.
I think they want opening day weekend.
But lazy how exactly? Like because I'm trying to think like if you pitch this scene, if they're making Raiders of the Lost Ark for the first time and there's a scene in New York City and it happens, India, whatever the parade is in the 30s, you're making Raiders, you're filming it in New York City. I can imagine this exact scene being all played out as, young Indiana Jones, young Harrison Ford, and we love it. And Spielberg's behind the wheel, and it's, everything here I can imagine happening in the same way. I feel like just
think
kind of working around the fact that you can't have a guy on a horse running down the street in New York City.
But I'm going to call bullshit on that a little bit though,
Okay.
because you did see
Again,
in one
rude,
of
but
the
okay.
you did see in one of the Avengers films a great fight scene that took place in Washington Square Park, and I
Yeah.
could actually see where my old dorm was when I went to NYU,
Yeah.
even though they shot that in Atlanta. It
Right.
was shot in Atlanta,
Mhm.
and it looked great. It felt like you were in New York. The effects, it didn't look like generic AI New York. It felt like they were in Washington Square Park. It
Mhm.
was exciting. The effects were good. You understood why they were fighting. This was and forgive me, I'm not the biggest Marvel fan in the world, but this was one of the ones I liked. I think it was
Mhm.
Endgame.
Okay.
It was either Endgame or Infinity War. I get those two mixed up because
Mhm.
they were kind of
They're
part
a
one and
pair.
two.
Yeah.
But there was a scene. It was with Doctor Strange and I think Spider-Man, and there was this big fight thing that was going on in Washington Square Park. It
Mhm.
looked great.
Yeah.
I could follow what was happening, and it felt like I was in New York. This felt like I was in. I could see the ping pong balls of the green screen while I was watching it.
Yeah.
I felt like we should have had those little, VR, goggles on while we were watching it.
So
It
it doesn't
didn't
look
feel
great.
like I was
Is
in the
that
city.
the main beef? Is it just does not look great, look
I think it look.
real
I think
or
it
great?
looks. I think it looks. The fact that it's so obviously fake takes me out of it.
Yeah. I think that's part of that dreamlike thing
Yeah.
we're talking about. Like, what exactly is going on? Where am I?
No,
Am I late for class?
We said this
And I
about
didn't feel
Crystal's-
that when they were when they went to Northern Africa and they had the scene when they were driving around like later in the movie
Hmm.
when they were driving in the little cars around because that felt like they were really there.
Okay.
When they went to the Archimedes place, because there are there were parts of this film I did like.
Mhm.
And when they were underwater, sometimes there are things I felt like, okay, this feels real.
Yeah.
And so and I felt a lot more of those scenes in this film than I did in Crystal Skull. I didn't hate this movie.
Mhm.
I just it really felt like the Star Wars sequels to me because it felt like an Indiana Jones flavored product. But but it wasn't it wasn't I didn't find I didn't walk and say, "Oh, what a piece of crap." Like no, I just felt like okay, I don't need to see that again.
Mhm.
It was, I wanted a Thanksgiving dinner and I got a Twix.
Yeah. As a
But
wise man once said, I could be watching Raiders.
yes.
That's what a lot of this boils down to. It's like don't kill yourself trying to make more of these things and thinking that it's going to be awesome. Just you did it. You made 3 awesome movies.
But you know
You're
what?
good.
You know what bothers me about that, Tommy, and you bring that up throughout our entire podcast.
Yeah.
Life.
Wow! Pete gave us that other
He gave
real
us some-
emotion.
I
Yeah, he
feel like
gave
I'm
it.
in
No,
trouble.
go ahead, Pete. Go ahead. I want what you have to say.
I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I just feel like he says that a lot. I feel like they could have made a good movie. Like I don't feel like there's a
me
reason they
too. I'm
didn't
like,
have to
you
make a
don't.
movie.
Try.
I know.
Well, that's what I don't understand. Like Tom's like, don't ever make a movie again.
They never
Just
will.
don't
I know,
ever make a movie.
see,
Just only make
it's-
superhero movies. Just make a million superhero movies. That's all I want.
Why would I go back and make scrambled eggs? I already had scrambled eggs once. No, I mean, I'm not. When I remember when they announced Indy 5 and we talked about I was like, I am truly excited, and I
Yeah.
think they're going to nail it. I think it's
By the
gonna
way,
be
I don't hate this
brilliant.
movie either. To be clear, I like this movie.
You just don't see why they made it.
I know exactly why they made it. They made it because Disney bought Lucasfilm and they needed to make a couple of bucks.
But Harrison Ford wanted to do it again. I mean, I
He
think
likes
he's
playing
one
the
of
part.
those.
He does.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it was only let's make money and we bought this franchise, so we got to do something. But like, and if Harrison Ford wasn't in it, I'd be like, yeah. But for some reason, I use him as like the weather vane of was it an accurate or genuine attempt?
Right.
Yeah,
And I think it was. I think it was.
sure.
I think he's selling it. I think everybody came to do their best. I just don't know that in every way it gelled well. And when I say like why bother making it, I mean like Sully, you mentioned like, oh, let's have a Forrestal TV show. I've never really understood that kind of thinking. Like Forrestal is a corpse on a spike in Raiders, and that's all I
was
ever want to
good.
know about him. He's great
He was
in that
very,
role.
very good.
He was very good.
very
He was very, very good until the spikes. But like, there's the sense of like, why are you chasing more when you've already got this golden thing that's so awesome? Why squeeze more juice out of it until it's a husk?
Well, I mean,
Can, can I? Can, All right, Jerry, you go. And
Well, I mean, okay, so
I'll
listen,
correct you.
if I'm the guy who said, if you had Star Wars and that's where the movie began and ended, the whole thing, I'd be fine with that. But then all these people piled on, including you, and you're like, well, Tom, you would then we wouldn't have The Empire Strikes Back. If somebody didn't wake up and think, I'm going to make scrambled eggs again,
Yeah.
it's a different day. I might try some new spices. It's like, and
Right.
everybody thinks Empire Strikes Back is the best of all Star Wars movies, and it is the second one.
Right.
So of course you don't know. It's unfair. You don't know until the movie's completed or made or whatever. Now we, as the audience, look at it and go, "Why did they think this was coherent?" It's not why did they make it. It's why did they
Yeah.
choose to put it out in with this dressing in this incoherence.
I always make fun of you, Jerry, for saying like, "Oh, why didn't they just make a good movie? That's so dumb. Why didn't they
Yeah.
try to make a good movie?"
Yeah.
But as I'm thinking about it now, as you're saying this, like, yeah, there is an element of, wait, couldn't you see when you were writing the script that this didn't totally make sense, and this was a little bit weird, and that this needed like another couple of drafts and a little, like, why didn't they take a step back and so, I mean, it's an issue too close to
I'm
something as you're working on
assuming.
it,
I
but-
mean, what sucks is I'm assuming they did.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm assuming they had like however many rewrites there were. We always talk about Crystal Skull. It had like, I don't know, didn't it have different directors or something like that? I don't even remember. But they, like,
No, Spielberg
people,
seemed to be the only one who directed
Yeah.
that one.
well, it sucked.
I'm feeling kind of weird here because I've been ultra negative about this movie and wallowing in and enjoying that fact, and suddenly
do
all
seem
of
very
you are like seem to be putting in evidence that this is a terrible movie, and I thought you all really enjoyed
I like this
movie. So
movie.
I don't.
No.
It just doesn't totally work, and I wonder if it's worth the. Is an Empire Strikes Back worth, the weirdness of Return of the Jedi and the awfulness of the prequels and the dorkiness of the TV shows?
Don't bring in your 20 years later. Well, Return of the Jedi wasn't actually that great. It was great.
No,
it
it's
was
weird.
great.
Yup,
It was
yup.
never not great. Tom.
I'm with
I'm
you, Pete.
revision history.
I'm
Taylor.
with you, Pete. We
I was
all
12 when
went
I
that
liked
way.
it, and I was stupid.
Yeah, because guess what? That's who you were. That was the intended audience.
Yeah.
12-year-olds, and
Right.
you loved it. So everyone, shut up.
And that's
You
the
know,
other
yeah.
point is that I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second because I'm the host and you're the guest. There is the sense in all of this that we should remind ourselves that we are all grumpy old men, and that there are
Yeah.
people who, if the kids are not loving Indiana Jones 5, they are loving the Marvel movies, which I happen to love too. They are loving whatever we might look down and go, well, there's not actually car chases and not actually people like in the same room with each other. But people are growing up on those movies and they're loving them, and we sound like, I don't know, steampunk.
Well,
weirdos
okay,
from
is
another
this
time.
whole thing just like, eating a Kit Kat, where when you're 10, somebody drives you to the store, or, you ride your bike, you have to work for this thing, you walk in, you get the Kit Kat, whatever, you unwrap it, you taste it, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing, and you know what I mean? And then when you're, my age, and you drive yourself to the store, and you're probably like, nah, it took like, $5 of gas to get here. And then you go in there, you're like, a line? I gotta wait in line? And you're
For a
like,
Kit Kat?
yeah, for a Kit Kat? Come on. You're like, boy, the price of Kit Kats now. And then
Yeah.
you eat it, and you think to yourself, oh, this tastes like early onset diabetes.
Yeah.
It does.
Is,
I should
is,
brush
is
my
that
teeth
the
now.
difference? Is that Return of the Jedi?
But the issue with this movie is that this didn't do that. I don't feel like this movie did that to any 10-year-old kids. I don't think there were any
No.
10-year-old kids out there who were like, "Oh my God, this movie's a Kit Kat."
Right.
I don't think any
No,
kid,
because
any kid thought
because
that.
it's a feathered fish. Because they were trying to make something that felt okay. Maybe we can try to make it seem like a modern type of blockbuster, but still trying to appeal to the old fogies. I'm sure there are people when Raiders came out said, "Well, let me tell you, this is no Dirty Dozen. Let me
Oh,
tell you,
absolutely,
this is no
yeah.
Dozen Navarone."
We think it's
I
like,
think-
Citizen Kane, but people back then were like, oh, here's Spielberg and Lucas again with their toys and doing this goofball
But you could
stuff.
still. I feel like that's not an impossibility. Like you can make a movie that does that. I just don't
Yeah.
feel like they did that with this movie.
I feel the Marvel
Well-
movies do a lot of that. I think
Yeah.
that they can really
that's-
nail that.
And I think 20, 30 years from now, when they bring back Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans to play the old versions of everyone, they're going to be going through the same goddamn thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
Look, I want to just bring up one thing. One of my problems that I had, and I had it the nanosecond we heard the Magical Mystery Tour, but I also felt it a little bit when they played Hound Dog in Crystal Skull, is I feel that, Indiana Jones is a character who exists in that pre-World War II sort of 1930s adventure time.
Yeah.
He exists in that point. And while I might wonder what happens after it, it felt weird to take him into another time like that. And especially when I felt Last Crusade, which I don't think is a perfect film, but I thought it had a great ending. And to me, I felt like that was, you
Oh,
have
yeah.
three of them, and they were about to eight. It takes place in 38, so the next year is World War II. It's kind of like the end of American Graffiti, where
Yeah.
it's the 1963.
God.
Kennedy's about to be assassinated. Everything's going wrong. So this is the last moment in time before that happens, when Richard Dreyfuss flies off and you see the white T-bird is driving along too. There's a sense of, okay, they're riding off in the sunset and it's going to be a much different world. And it felt a little, I felt disconnected seeing him, yap about Russians, and eventually we have to get time traveling Nazis because that's the best enemy for Indiana Jones. But I don't know when this is going to drop, but we're recording this not that long after you guys talked about the Indiana Jones video game
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
came out. And by the way, my wife worked on that in the casting of it. So
Oh, get
you may
out of
wanna
here.
talk about
Wow.
that a little bit. Yeah.
Tell her thanks.
You're married? No, did I get Pete twice?
Pete, thanks for finders.
Oh, come on.
That was a good one, Jerry.
Oh, thanks.
You guys were praising the video game left and right. Now, while you were talking about video games, I thought, oh, this is what Tom feels like when I talk about baseball, because there is no microscope powerful enough to detect how little I care about video games. I
Right.
just
Yeah.
don't play them. I don't care. I did when people talk about it, my eyes glaze over, like I'm talking about how I think the Red Sox pitching is going to be this year if I'm in a conversation with Tom. By the way, when Tom was a guest on the Bull Durham Minute podcast, and all three of you were great. And the discussion turned to baseball because it's Bull Durham. Somehow Tom turned it into a discussion about Star Trek: The Motion Picture. That's
what I do.
Because he needed to have some frame of reference that he could relate to.
Yeah,
But
that's his
I
honeymoon.
found something in amongst all the video game talk, which made me want to drive my car into a pole. There was an interesting thing you all kept saying at one point, that this feels like Indiana Jones.
It really does.
Unlike anything else, it feels like Indiana Jones. And I'm thinking, like, yeah, because it's taking place in the time
Yeah.
that Indiana Jones is comfortable in.
And
And
it's Indiana Jones when Indiana Jones is still Indiana Jones.
and there's Marcus, and he's back in Northern California at Marshall College, and you're in the Peruvian temple at the beginning. I can't say the tribe's name that Pete just sort of says just like
The
that.
Chachapoyans.
Thank you. And but it felt more like it because there's a reason why, and this is something I was loath to bring up. I'm going to bring up anyway. There's a reason why it used to be that our heroes in movies stayed the same age. That, like, Batman, I know there's Batman Dark Knight Returns and Batman Begins, but usually Batman is a middle-aged dude and Robin's a teenager. Superman doesn't grow up to be an old person. Lois isn't 80 years old. Because there's a sort of understanding that you're going to be into this when you're a kid, and then you're going to grow out of it.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
next group is going to take it over. And I think you can point to the downfall of American culture to the moment we started putting our comic books into little plastic bags. We started putting our baseball cards in hermetically sealed things, and we started calling comic books graphic novels.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no. Now I want to see what happens when this hero is my age. And like, no.
Well,
No,
so
by the way,
okay,
the
so
one-
hang on. Let me ask you, Sully. Is
That's
there
me.
is there any franchise that gets that right, where they bring the old guy or the old woman back, and they're the get off
Logan.
my.
Logan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Logan, big time. Absolutely, I think Logan.
All right, and
And
it
sort of the
hurt-
flip side of that is probably like the James Bond thing, where they just keep starting over, and they can
Yeah.
do that, and it makes perfect sense within the series, and
Yeah.
it just it's perennial, and it just keeps on going.
Do you know what other one did it? Creed. The first Creed movie.
Yeah.
They did it really well.
Yeah,
I need to. I
And they
haven't. I
played
need to
with-
see that. I can't believe. I
Yeah,
didn't
the
see
first
that.
Creed is really good.
Yeah.
And it plays with the Rocky mythology and does it really effectively
yeah,
and really emotionally. And Stallone's amazing. And you know what? Stallone's good.
Sure.
Are we allowed to say that?
yeah. Of
I mean,
course,
very
with a
much
straight
allowed to
face.
say
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, Stallone's good at what he does. You know, he's not going to play. I know I don't want him playing Lincoln, but you
I do now.
I do
Yeah.
now. Totally.
Four scored 7 years ago.
I'm trying to hear the funny part of the play. You're shooting at me. What goes on?
You doggle guys in bad trap. You know?
But then you also have like Mad Max. They just like casually recast Mad Max, and that
Yes.
worked out just fine.
And that's
you know,
a masterpiece.
it is.
That's the best film of the 2010s.
But how
then-
come you
yeah, they
can't do
didn't
that
have-
with Harrison Ford? Why can't you recast Indiana Jones and make a new movie?
That's
And
why I
by the way,
kept-
I've always fought against that. I don't want
I know,
that.
yeah.
But
But have it-
if it happens,
have it-
maybe it'll work.
Have it be in his universe. Have one of the other stories.
Well, I don't. You know,
Have-
for whatever reason, who's the dude who plays Mad Max? What's his name?
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, I really like him. He
Yeah,
he
he's
captures the thing. I can't
Yeah.
tell you why he does or doesn't, but he captures the thing.
That
He's
felt like a
believable.
James Bond kind of recasting. Like, oh,
Sure.
he's not Sean Connery, but he's this other guy who I really like. He's kind of
Well,
he's a
okay,
slightly
so but then
different
you
thing.
get. I mean, you take James Bond. We got Pierce Brosnan. Yay or nay?
Yeah,
Yay, big
sure.
time. He saved the franchise.
Yeah,
He revived the franchise. That franchise was dead. And all due respect to Timothy Dalton, who I actually think is a really good actor, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought The Living Daylights is not a good Bond film. I think that's a great Bond film. But License to Kill was a dud.
yeah.
And the Cold War was over, and Bond was irrelevant until they got Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan said clear, and and GoldenEye is great. GoldenEye is terrific. The other ones are okay, but like Die Another Day, it's dreadful. But I think that if they would have done that in the 90s, I think it's too late to bring in a new Indiana Jones. And I would rather have someone be. We follow Abner Ravenwood, or we follow Forrestal. We follow someone else who's friends with Abner Ravenwood and Forrestal.
See, I don't need that stuff, but okay, you have fun.
You could have half breed, or you could. Who else was
Stop
friends
it.
with-
Wow.
By the way, can I tell you, I had the great experience of sitting next to Pete Mummert from the Indiana Jones Minute podcast
I know that guy.
when we watched a film called Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny at a movie theater in Daly City, California.
I think just
and-
getting to see it with you and your sons was the whole reason I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, I think that was a big part of it. But there was one point. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. This was the one moment where Pete and I did a snap take to each other, and then had a great moment of disappointment.
Oh, no.
Which is when, Pete, I think you know the scene I'm talking about. That Indy said, "Oh, we got to find someone with a boat or something," and I know someone who does. And the two of us did a snap take to each other.
Yeah.
Said, Katanga. We're gonna have Katanga.
Yeah.
And then they show up, and I'm on my body is expecting Katanga, and I got Antonio Banderas. And let me tell you something: when you expect Katanga and you get Banderas, it's a weird feeling because
Yeah.
Banderas is awesome. Banderas is a great actor. I love
course.
Antonio Banderas, and I had no
forgot
idea
he was in
he
this
was in the movie.
Well, I still forgot he was in this movie.
But then when he showed up, so well, clearly, okay, Antonio Banderas is going to be a major character. They're not just going to have him like in 2 scenes and kill him off.
Why would they do that?
Yeah, why would they do? See, that's
Oh,
a
wait.
strange thing to do, I guess.
Why get Antonio Banderas? Get me.
We're all a bunch of old grumpy men.
Why
Yeah, movies. Let's talk about them
do
forever.
I feel like this podcast is Unforgiven?
Speaking of Unforgiven or Unforgiving,
Oh, yes.
Or,
Yeah. Jerry, is there anything that...
Oh, why, yes, there is.
what do you mean? You don't even know what I was going to ask.
Rattling,
Oh, my God.
coming alive. The machine is resuscitated. This just in from Professor Christy Porter. Have you ever been in a parade that stopped?
Wow. I don't know. Have I ever been in a parade? Or at a parade that has stopped?
Yeah, like where, the parade was intercepted by something.
Yeah.
I'd like to
I
hear,
don't think
I'd
so.
like to pose that, expand that out to the Listeners Crusade
Yeah.
on Facebook. If you have any anecdotes or stories about being in a parade and the parade was halted or arrested or intercepted or derailed. See what kind of fun verbs.
I've been to the Rose Parade here in Pasadena, and sometimes that's to stop because of the horses taking a on the middle of Colorado Avenue.
Yeah.
They don't plan for that? They don't work that into the...
That's kind of normal. That's the sort of thing where everybody feels uncomfortable, and the kids all start laughing and pointing.
Or sobbing.
Yeah, but you kind of go, you're like, of all the things in this parade, that right there is the most natural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm still puzzled why you were mentioning various things that could happen to the parade, but when you said derailed, you said it in a weird lascivious, like, or derailed?
Derailed?
I was trying to encourage strong verbs, action verbs.
Compromise?
Yeah. Compromise.
Caught unawares? Well, since we haven't talked about these minutes in a long time, I think we're done talking about these minutes.
Yes.
But I've had fun.
Yeah.
It's always a ball to talk to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird. I mentioned this when I did the Crystal Skull, but I was this is the only time I've done a movie by minute for a film that I don't really know like the back of my hand.
Mm-hmm.
But I need my dose of Jerry, Pete, and Tom.
Well, hopefully that will carry everybody else too, because it feels weird covering this movie that's only a couple of years old, that nobody knows by heart, and we didn't have action figures of it, and we didn't have the trading cards, and we didn't have the Starlog magazines about it. It's a little strange, but we're here because we love Indy.
Yep. Yeah.
But thanks for joining us for this, Sully. This is awesome.
This is a blast. This is an absolute blast. And if I ever getting around to doing another movie by minute podcast, I'm doing like 50 things at once now. So I don't really. But if once I do, like if I was going to do another one, I would probably do the Graduate Minute.
Oh wow, that'd be awesome.
Nice.
And so that would be the one I would do. But I just don't. I don't have the bandwidth to do that.
Yeah.
I'm getting this May. This may be around the time this drops. I don't know, but in mid-May, I am going to be in Fullerton, California, with a cap and gown, receiving my second master's degree.
Oh, fantastic!
Hey, awesome!
This is in special education from the School of Education at Cal State Fullerton. And we've been doing this so long that I was working in the tech world when we did the first one of these.
Yeah.
And now I've been a special ed teacher for 4 years. So this is how long
That's amazing.
Wow.
it's been since we've been doing these. But yeah, and it's the alma mater of Kevin Costner. So there you go.
Hey,
So
look at
bringing
that.
it back to Bull Durham.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, and we will all be thinking of you in May, whether that has happened already or not as you listen to this. But yeah, speaking of listening to this, please come back next week for the next 3 minutes of Dial of Destiny right here on the Indiana Jones Minute.